Oh, fuck, we're back. Finally.
Oh, you started the show when I was looking out the window.
I guess we should do the opening, actually. It's Wednesday, April 23rd, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Kill La Kill Final Thoughts.
I guess we still do this show.
Let's do this. Yeah, I was in Paris, then we were at PAX, then all the stuff that happens after a PAX, like recovering and laundry and...
The sun coming out.
Yup, it being nice outside, biking everywhere.
I took a day off work yesterday, went to the park, and burned my head.
I should have taken a day off just to bike around or something, but I didn't.
Mistake.
Yeah, whatever.
Why live? Why work?
Got one more weekend at a convention we'll talk about later, and then we're pretty free.
Yay.
So this morning, something happened to me that's only happened to me twice in my life, and I always forget that this is a thing that can happen until it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So around 5 a.m., I hear the fire alarm go off.
You weren't sleeping?
Well, I'm woken up by it.
Ha ha.
I guess I heard it in my dream, and then it didn't make sense, and then I woke up and I hear it, but then it stops. And then I hear a voice, a robot voice, yell something.
What? Does your fire alarm, your fire smoke alarm, your smoke detector has a robot voice?
Yeah, it does. It's like connected to other fire systems. Like the whole building's integrated, so that it looks like a regular fire alarm up there in the hallway, but actually
It's fancy.
got a wire and it connects to all the other smoke detectors in our apartment.
Yeah.
So if one goes off, they all go off. Standard deal. So I just kind of lay there for a minute, and then it goes off again, and then I hear the voice, and it says, "Battery low."
Ah.
And
Wait, isn't it powered by the building?
No, well, so
and then the battery is just a backup because that way it works during a power outage?
Yes, but the batteries still get drained a little bit and eventually wear out. And about once every year-ish, you're supposed to replace the 9-volt battery.
Of course. Everyone, check your smoke detectors so you don't die in a horrible fire.
Yeah, well, smoke detectors usually, though I'm really shocked at how many people don't seem to know this. When I was a kid, I'd go over to people's houses because normally when the battery's low on a regular old smoke detector, it'll chirp, like boop, every few minutes until you change the battery.
But you can push the button to shut it up.
No, usually not. Usually it'll start up again at some point.
Okay.
So I remember as a kid, a lot of people had smoke detectors that basically chirp forever because they didn't notice it.
Much like your Fios battery.
Yeah, well, much like the Fios batteries in a lot of our neighbors' apartments.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a feeling I'll be hearing the alarms of all my neighbors' Fios batteries being dead until I move.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing still needs the backup battery to be replaced about once every year, even though it's powered by the AC. And there's no way to suppress this fucking alarm.
A new battery.
Yeah, I didn't happen to have a 9-volt battery laying around.
What if your smoke detector actually died and there was a fire at 5:30 and you didn't replace it? Then...
Well, if it died, one, it still would have had power to wake me up. I mean, the battery's dying alarm would wake me up. So that would have worked fine. There's no way to suppress this alarm.
It doesn't know what time it is.
And it doesn't go, it doesn't know what time it is. It just thinks it's a perfectly fine time to do
listen,
this.
if you want to make a lot of money, right, there's that company Nest.
Nest, yeah.
So make the Nest of smoke detectors and
Nest makes
be
a smoke
rich.
detector, Scott.
Oh, well, just buy it from them.
I don't own this apartment.
That's not my problem.
So I think what annoyed me about this was, I'd rather these things fail loud than fail quiet. That's how it's supposed to be. And if you live in a house, you don't notice this kind of stuff, not super sympathetic when your house burns
We live
down.
in New York. You can go to the 24/7 bodega, get a 9-volt battery.
Yeah, but at 5 a.m., I don't want to go do that.
Well, don't burn your house down.
Yeah. So what annoyed me was that this repeated cycle of the super loud alarm telling me the battery is dying.
I notice it's not going off now.
Yeah, because I took care of that shit.
That's right.
It happened every 48 seconds.
You timed it with your stopwatch?
I laid there in bed going 1, 2, 3, because I didn't want to get up, and I wondered, can I just ignore this and deal with it when I get home? Is it going to go off once an hour? No, every 48 to 50 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was my morning.
Okay.
I found a dead 9-volt battery that wasn't quite dead, so I swapped it, and that delayed it until I could get a real battery.
Okay.
That's my story. That's the exciting life of a Rim.
I'm sure I have
living
plenty
here
of
in the big
stories
city.
because we haven't done a show in a while, but who gives a shit? Let's do some news.
All right, you got some news?
I do. So, the 2014 Eisner Award nominations are out. Oh my gosh.
Saga?
Well, yeah, obviously, right? So I'm
Saga
not gonna.
for everything?
You can read the nominations yourselves, right? But I'm gonna go down this list and let's talk about some notable things, right? So notable thing number 1, Saga's all over this list. Best continuing series. What else is it nominated for? Let's see. Best continuing series. Keep going. Keep going. Keep
You
going.
going with this prepped at all?
I mean, you got to go down this whole list here. It's not, Oh, best writer.
No. You didn't just do a control F?
Best cover artist. I can't on this iPad.
Ho, 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 ho.
At least not. I don't know how to.
A highfalutin iPad can't do a grep through a file, eh?
I'm sure it can.
That's exciting right there.
Yeah. All right, it's got at least 3, right?
My superior PC can do this.
Yeah, that's going to take all its categories for sure.
Best continuing series, best new series, best writer. Only those 3.
Yeah. That Hawkeye comic is all over the place, right? But
People have said that's really good.
everyone says it's really good. It's nominated for a million Eisner Awards, and it's even got best single issue and shit like that, right? It's all over the place. It's even in more categories than Saga.
Is that the
I
one
think.
we read a little bit? I'm trying to remember.
No, I don't. I've never read it.
I think I read a different
The reason I've
Hawkeye.
never read it is because by Matt Fraction. And Matt Fraction is this guy where everyone says his comics are so great. And tons of people just love him to craziness. And he seems like a cool guy. But every comic I've ever read of his, at least in my opinion, has been garbage.
Now, bear in mind, we think a lot of things are garbage.
Right. But for some reason, everyone likes this guy that I don't like. Anyway, other notable things. Best limited series, Trillium's in there by Jeff Lemire.
Oh, right. Shit, I forgot all about Trillium. I read the first floppy.
Waiting for that trade.
And it was great.
Waiting for the trade. Best new series, you've got Lazarus by Greg Rucka. Greg Rucka's awesome.
Yeah, I can dig him.
What else is going on that's exciting? Mouse Guard has best publication for kids, which is interesting. I don't know how much. I mean, kids can read it. Is it for kids?
I would argue it.
It's for everybody.
Dark things happen in it, but on the level that kids seem to like.
Sure, maybe.
It's scary, but it's also just little mouses doing a little mouse thing.
Vader's Little Princess is best humor publication. Which
I could agree with that.
I haven't read the other ones. So it's like I'm just pointing out the ones that I know mostly, right? Another interesting thing is that the Oatmeal, right, by Inman, that webcomic, right?
Yeah.
It's nominated in the best digital webcomic category, but it's also got best short story. And I think it might even be nominated for something else, which is pretty interesting. I think it might be the first time a webcomic is in some other category besides best webcomic.
Oh, this list was multi-paginated. Saga's got best continuing series nomination, best writer,
And best
painter, multimedia artist for interior art, and best cover artist for
Yeah.
Fiona specifically.
Right.
And there's a bunch of notes next to this here.
Yep. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things in here. Things that those big Prince Valiant volumes that I bought. That's in the best archival collection project.
Have you read those?
I've read the first one.
Huh?
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
I remember as a kid, I was always dumbfounded by Prince Valiant.
Yeah, you know why? Because
yeah,
you go
get
to the
one
newspaper
panel.
and you get this one giant panel, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Originally, all right. So the original Prince Valiants took up basically a whole newspaper page per comic. They were gigantic, right? So these collected editions that I'm buying are the size of it. They're these hardcovers that are the size of an old newspaper. They're huge, and it's the original size printing, right, from the beginning in order, so you know what's happening. Not like when you read in the newspaper and you're like, "What's going on? I've never read a Prince Valiant in my life. Who are these people?
Yep.
Is that Valiant or is that Valiant? I don't know." And it's you won't even know what's going on. And it was this tiny small piece, right? So it wasn't the Prince Valiant that we were reading in the newspaper as kids. Wasn't the original one, right? It was some other one. It was by later artists and writers, not the originals. So anyway, but yeah, lots of interesting nominations here. You can't vote, I guess, but you can go and look and see who's nominated. It'll be more interesting than, I guess, Tony Award nominations.
Yep. I have a feeling if we haven't talked about them already, many of the things that win them we'll probably read and talk about because after Kill La Kill, there's I'm watching anime still, but there's a hole in my anime.
This weird thing seems to happen a lot where it's you go down and it's most of these categories I've read at most 1 or 2 of, right? In some categories, 0 of, right? And even the ones where I haven't read, it's like I've heard of maybe 1 more than that. So it's like 75% of the things on this list I've never heard of at all, period, right? Yet, when they come out with the awards in the end, usually it's the things I've heard of or have already read that win. Most of the time.
Well, to be fair, we have not been super paying attention to comics lately.
I know.
It's been gaming and anime season.
The thing is, my buying comics rate is steady. It never changes. But my reading comics rate goes way down.
Yep.
And now I have all these comics to read, no time to read
My buying
them.
comics rate is it's on the level of, oh, right, I was waiting for that comic to come to trades. Amazon, is it on trades? Yes, buy it at like 30 or 40% off.
Right.
That's why I caught up on all the My Little Pony.
So I think what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try
And the Adventure Time.
Right. What I'm going to do this summer is whenever I go biking, I'm going to bring comics. That way I can read them in the park. And then
Bike
go
to the
home.
park, read a comic, bike home.
That's right. And that way I will efficiently read more comics.
If we do that, then I think we'll have to review a lot of comics because, like I said, anime still going strong, but there's a little hole in my anime watching because Kill la Kill is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of anime and these other things, if you didn't notice, an anime person did an Adventure Time episode.
Well, is going to or is working on or is almost done with. I don't know.
I think it's already done, but it's not going to air right away because that's how things work.
Yep.
It's not like animators finish your show and then it's on TV that day.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who's doing Ping Pong, which is kind of up our alley, I
Right,
think.
Rim, right? So shame on Rim, didn't know who Masaaki Yuasa was until like 2 seconds ago, right? Even though people have basically been talking about his awesomeness for many moons.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people like that people talk about.
Sure, I guess, but you're the one who's out of the loop. All the other people who at least know about anime know who this is.
Yeah, I knew vaguely who it was.
But you know what? A lot of
I
the
looked at his
listeners-
list of stuff.
A lot of the listeners probably have no clue who it is.
I looked at his list of stuff. If you remove all the things where he key animated one episode, not super prolific yet.
No, he's not prolific, but he's just like, as soon as he did one thing, people are like, whoa, because he does shit crazy different from everyone else. He's got a really distinctive style, right?
Well, but way back, there was that anime, Kemonozume.
Right, and it's
that
like
we really liked.
You didn't know his name at the time or that he was the one responsible, but it stood out, right? So since then, he's done a bunch of other stuff and is doing more stuff. So Ping Pong is the big thing he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, I think Ping Pong now is why I'm going to get really excited about
But
him.
they got-
because Ping Pong.
Yep.
One, I play ping pong, so that might be for me kind of like your Shonen Boys on Bikes show is for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from
Except
what I
Ping Pong's
gather,
probably going to be a better show.
this Adventure Time episode that he did, he wrote it, storyboarded it, and directed it, and apparently he had zero restrictions on what the episode consisted of.
Right. Well,
He was told to just go nuts and do whatever he wanted to do.
I'm sure he didn't interfere with the overarching plot and just made a one-off.
I wonder what they would have done if he had come back to them like, all right, this is my storyboard, and it's like Finn dying and then being reincarnated in the 80s and becomes a detective, and that's the entire episode.
They would have just had it be that and then moved on, just the same way Cowboy Bebop did with the alien in the fridge episode.
Yeah.
They all died. Oh, next episode, nothing happened.
No, they didn't die. They were just sick in a coma, and the ship was already set to guide toward that waypoint where there would have been doctors.
Sure. Whatever you say.
That could have worked out.
Whatever you say.
It's not like Samurai Champloo where it just didn't make any fucking sense. So this Adventure Time episode will be interesting. Ping Pong will be interesting, and we'll see where this guy goes.
He's already gone. You're just the only one who hasn't.
Oh, I'm saying he hasn't done a lot yet. Let's see where
He hasn't
goes.
done a lot, but everything that Masaaki Yuasa has done has been critically acclaimed and known and recognized by the whole anime community, even in the U.S., and you are the only one who hasn't noticed.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone in the U.S. is really excited
Go
about
look-
Photo Kano episode 7.
He did Kick Heart. His Kickstarter was huge and all
Yeah.
over the anime news everywhere.
Yeah.
He did Mind Game, a highly lauded and very much celebrated Studio 4C production, right? Kemonozume was a big deal when it happened, right? Is not this unknown person. You
Well,
are just
Kemonozume
failing
was
to
only
admit
a big deal
you are
for
failing to admit that you were just in the dark. Everybody knows who Masaaki Yuasa is already.
One,
He's
I'll
already
bet-
a big deal.
So,
He's not
Scott,
going
one-
places. He is places now.
I didn't say he wasn't a big deal.
You said you'll see where he goes. Basically,
yeah,
implying
like what's he
he's not-
going to do next? Give him 10 years. What else is he going to do?
You are just simply someone who does not know and will not admit you do not know.
What? I wasn't super up on him. What do you want me to say?
Now you have admitted the truth.
Yeah.
Everyone else knows already.
I have a feeling that most of the people listening have no idea about any of this.
Well, we'll see.
Based on our
anyone
usual
in the anime
demographics.
community already knows who
Anyone
this
in the
is.
anime community.
Yes.
The anime community.
Exactly.
The anime community that doesn't even know, like they didn't know who Tomino was. Only the Gundam people knew.
That's not the anime community. That's the Homestuck community.
So you're talking about Anna Twitter.
Yes.
Okay, that's not the anime community.
Yes, it is.
That's the people who tweet. That's like Mike Toole, you, me, Daryl Surratt.
The real people.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Okay, Anna Twitter knows. I'll give you that.
But you didn't, so you're not Anna Twitter, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I knew the name. I just didn't
Sure.
think of all the things he'd done together. I completely forgot about Kemonozume. In fact, I pretty much always forget about that until I see it, and I remember the girl with the big, like, monster arm.
Right. All his stuff looks like that.
Yeah. Well, Ping Pong doesn't have monster arms yet.
It still looks like that.
So as a little aside, tiny news, if you were mad about the bag checks at PAX or Anime Boston, or if you're mad about the fact that basically the city of Boston prevents Anime Boston from having their little anime rave, or pretty much anything else weird that's happened in Boston, like, I don't know, the fact that Boston forced PAX to have fewer women's restrooms and wouldn't let them make them gender neutral, the mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh...
They let him have one or two gender neutral.
Yeah, they let him have one gender
I
neutral.
thought there were two.
And in one area, and they refused to let them turn any of the other ones into gender neutral. They just turned them without the con's real approval into men's bathrooms, thus causing women's bathroom deserts in certain parts of the convention.
Yep.
And apparently the Boston response to complaints from PAX was, yeah, fuck you. So the mayor of Boston's doing an AMA on Reddit.
It's not like he's going to respond to your question regarding this.
He's not going to respond to anyone. These things already are going to be 99% about marijuana. So I task you to make this one 80% about marijuana, 20% about PAX and Anime Boston.
Okay, good luck.
That's what I'm shooting for. Let's make sure that 100% of the questions are still questions he's not going to want to answer.
He's not going to answer. Someone else is going to copy and paste pre-written answers on things that he's already decided he wants to answer about. He's going to look for the They're basically someone's job is going to take these answers, find the question they apply to, and post it as a reply. And after they've posted every answer they've already pre-written, stop answering.
Congratulations, you have figured out politics.
Oh my God.
It's still good to do these things anyway, because the more torrent there is, he'll have at least
There's
one.
a naive person out there who this works on.
No, what it is he'll have an aide somewhere who keeps track of like what people actually asked about and goes into some statistics folder that probably gets ignored. So that's the impact we're shooting for. Or, if nothing else, if you ask the really good question, it becomes a focal point itself of people who are mad, even though he'll never answer, no one in the government will ever see it or look at it. It gives you sort of a rallying point for your tiny marijuana-driven cause. It's mostly marijuana on these animes. But anyway, things of the day. I found this area of YouTube, and I'm going to link to it, my thing of the day. This is an 2-hour long video, and it's just a whole bunch of old Donald Duck cartoons just in a row.
Well, that's yours.
Super high quality, and more importantly,
How is this not taken down by Disney or whatever?
who fucking knows? These videos have been up for a long time. It's got like 7 million views, and there's a million of them. Every old Disney cartoon is just right here.
All right. Good job, Disney.
It was uploaded by Chip and Dale.
Oh, maybe that's official.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really look into it.
Those are your
However,
best buddies.
wow, this video has almost as many dislikes as likes.
Okay.
That's interesting. But these are not just any Disney videos.
The Nazi ones?
No, it's not the weird ones that are like not shown anymore. These are the ones that when I was a kid, I would rent from like video stores that predated Blockbuster on beta fucking max tapes
Like
and watch.
Goofy playing golf?
Yeah, these are like Goofy playing golf. These are like the Donald Duck and Chip and Dale fighting over popcorn, like those kinds.
Right.
And the one thing I've noticed the most watching all these again as an adult is that Donald Duck plays the most dangerous game. Because in multiple of
hunting?
these, he has a goddamn rec room with a lot of dead animals on the walls, multiple shotguns, and in one of them, he has all these duck lures just hanging out with a shotgun just sitting right next to them. What is Donald Duck up to?
Well, in the Warner Brothers universe, right, Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny are getting hunted by Elmer Fudd all the time, right?
True.
In the Disney universe, there is no Elmer Fudd because Donald Duck murdered him and lives in his house.
Donald Duck also kind of an asshole, but
Well, I mean, he was a sailor, so he knows how to shoot, right? Not that you shoot too often in the Navy, but you shoot more than 0.
As much of an asshole as he is, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are way more asshole.
Apple does not fall far from the other branch of the tree.
I was about to correct you, just in case. But like, there's one where Donald Duck is just hanging out in this lighthouse, working the lighthouse, doing his thing, and he sees another bird, a pelican, asleep. So he's like, well, fuck that guy. And he just points the lighthouse at him and starts fucking with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pelican fucks him up. The end.
The end.
And he pretty much deserved everything that happened to him. Mm. These are a great way to kill 2 hours.
Well, now we don't have to watch him anymore. You just told everything that happened. So this is something
Spoilers?
I feel like might have been a thing of the day in the past.
Uh-oh.
But it's like, and it's something I've definitely seen before. But I found it again, and it's awesome, so who cares? And I'm too lazy to look up whether it's actually a thing of the day in the past or not. So I'll just read the text for you because it's very short. 3 space colony summer studies were conducted at NASA Ames in the 70s. A number of artistic renderings of the concepts were made. They have been scanned and are available here as small, medium, large, and publication quality JPEG. Scans by some guy. Images are not copyrighted. Please credit photos to NASA Ames Research Center.
Huh?
So I made some desktop wallpapers. But yeah, these are basically just amazing artistic renderings of not real space colonies. But you look at these and it's like, oh, that's where the Gundam space colony design came from. Pretty much stolen directly from these or borrowed or whatever. I guess since they're not copyrighted, not stolen either, right? But yeah, here's your next desktop wallpaper for all your computers. There are many to choose from. Also, I really wonder, how did the Gundam artists see these images that were made at NASA? Like, how did they get around at the time? Were they printed somewhere? Did they saw them in Japan?
Maybe they were in like a Popular Science or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Maybe they were part of an
So
maybe the designs of these things were just somehow confluent.
Maybe. It seems unlikely. When you see the pictures, it's like, no, there's no way. Because it's like, wow, that's a direct shot from War in the Pocket right there. Just in that picture. Yeah.
Wow, a space station shaped like a kid's butt with a slingshot.
Whoa. Not that. No, like
I know. I was recently looking for a good picture of War in the Pocket, and I couldn't find anything better than that.
Anyway.
So in the meta moment, the book club book is.
Oh, the book club book. I have chosen.
Oh, have you now?
The book club book. I have. So remember how we were talking about, when we talked about wool, we talked about how wool is the same as Fallout, is the same as, the other ones, right?
You've forgotten all the other examples? Paranoia, Logan's Run.
Right, all those. It's the same as all those, right?
Okay.
Someone mentioned one that was another one of those, right, that I'd never heard of before. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, another one of those. But then, like, coincidentally, like a few days later, like Boing Boing made a post about it. And I'm like, something must be up. The antennas are up. Something is happening. So I'm like, you know what? If the antennas are up, don't even hesitate. Just go for it, right? So let me read this here. A Canticle for Leibowitz is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel, something from the 60s. And I guess they said it's about the same thing. And that's older than any of those other fucking ones, right? You find one older than this.
That's
right?
been on my radar for a while. Emily's been bugging me to read it. I think Luke was telling me to read it.
That's where I heard it
multiple
first
times.
from Luke, and then I saw it on Boing Boing again. So if this is published in 59, not even the 60s, right? So if this is one of those, this is probably the first one of those. So then we don't have to read any more of those. There you go.
Unless it's bad.
It's possible.
Then you got to keep reading them.
But why the fuck is everyone talking about it if it's so bad?
Probably because Wool and all these other things have come out and people are really into that. So
also,
they did the same thing we're doing.
Our book club book seems to have a tradition of saying, this is the first one of those, like Snow Crash. This is the first one. So we're going to read all the first ones of all the
watch
nerdy
out, though,
things.
because There might be an version of this going back to like, I don't know, Stanislaw Lem might have written something.
All right, you go find it for me. We'll change a book club selection.
All right, I'm down with this book.
Also, it's an old sci-fi novel. I'm betting it's short.
Pretty sure I already own
I'm
it.
betting it's short. I don't know how many pages. It could be long. I haven't read it.
All right.
But it could be. I'm betting that it's not long.
So this weekend in Lancaster,
It's 320 pages.
Pennsylvania, we're going to be at ZenkaiCon 2014. It's a moderately sized anime con, especially for Pennsylvania. Supposedly Lancaster has okay food, though we're told
It has
the food,
Amish food.
We're told the food closes at like 7 o'clock.
Well,
so
Amish people, they got to
Yeah.
get home in their buggy.
yeah.
It takes a while.
So yeah, we're taking the train out there on Saturday at 10 a.m. in Live 3. We're doing anime openers from around the world.
Exciting.
On Saturday at 1:30 p.m. in Live 3, we're doing All Anime Are the Same.
I hope I still have it.
This one's also known as It's All Scott because he wrote the panel, he put it together, and he might have deleted all the source material.
What? No.
If that's the case, I'll show up and we'll see what happens in this panel.
We'll just do something.
Yeah.
No one will show up to our panel anyway.
Yeah, they might. That's a moderately provocative title.
Maybe.
And then on Sunday at 10:30 a.m., we are doing Bad Games, our panel from PAX.
Okay.
Well, the previous PAX, the previous
Prime.
previous PAX
Yeah.
Prime.
Right.
Because our most recent PAX panel was Why No One Will Game With You, which I got video of. I'll see if I upload it.
Okay.
I haven't gone through it too much yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Got 2 episodes of Geeknights Presents Utena that I just have to edit and upload. They're already pretty much good to go.
I got 3 videos from the latest Netrunner tournament, 20-sided store I have to upload. But my upload is slow.
Nah. For a small fee, I could upload it for you.
Oh, you know who won that tournament?
You?
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
All right.
There
Spoilers.
was no one there.
Spoilers.
There was no one there. It was like 6 people total.
So Kill La Kill. One, if you haven't watched Kill La Kill, don't listen because we're going to spoil it. Final thoughts. We're going to talk about the show as we watched it. So seriously,
Who hasn't watched the whole thing?
who hasn't watched the whole thing who listens to an anime podcast?
Really? Really? Who has internet access to listen to podcasts but hasn't watched? Seriously.
So here's what I've noticed among other people talking about Kill La Kill. Unlike Attack on Titan, which had one wave of people who were really into it and then the wave of everybody else watched it, this one has a ton of tiny waves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were saying, oh, this is great. You know, we watched it. We watched the whole
I
thing
saw
through.
it coming a mile away because I
Yup.
saw all the other trigger things, and I said, anything that says trigger on it, I will pull the trigger on.
But I saw a lot of other people who would watch 1-2 episodes and say things to the effect of, this looks porny, this looks dumb,
It does.
this looks crazy, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not going to watch it.
in that first episode, I was like, oh my god, this nakedness. But at the same
But then
time,
you
I
were
was
like,
like,
oh my
that
God,
Gamagori.
Did Gamagori just jump off the side of the building
I'm watching this show.
when he's there at the door at the bottom of that scene? But then many of those people who said these things would watch 1 or 2 more episodes,
If they could be forced to.
and then they'd tweet something to the effect of, I don't know, the show might actually be pretty good. And then they basically just blitz to the end and then talk about how it was one of the greatest things they've ever seen.
Right.
I've seen so many people go from not watching this to marathoned it over the course of 5 episodes that if you have avoided this show for any reason, trust us, watch it. Even if you get to the end and somehow still think that it is an objectively horrible show or you have serious beef with it, at least now you can argue with us about it. It's a notable show, even if you don't like it,
Yeah, pretty much.
because it might have saved anime.
Well,
This and Space Dandy.
how's anime doing right now? Nope, it's okay.
Anime's it's coming up, coming along.
It's doing okay.
Gotta watch. I gotta finish Space Dandy. I didn't watch the last few episodes.
Well, you're going to get some more pretty soon.
I know.
A month or 2.
Yeah.
April's almost over.
Oh God, yeah, it is. I mean, Adventure Time season 6 already started up.
That's right.
Yeah. So
How about
Kill La
that?
Kill ended very well, in my opinion.
Mhm.
It was a show where had they flubbed the ending, it could have gone from A to B.
Right. Well, I mean, the ending wasn't I was expecting the ending to be like, boom, holy shit, yeah, but it wasn't. It was really the ending was really 1 or 2 episodes before the last episode, and the last 2 episodes are just like you know how it's going to end. We're just going to do it like you know we're going to do it. And here it is.
Except that it did not do the Ava existential thing that I expected it to do.
I didn't expect that at all.
I expected that.
No.
Not to the level of Ava. I expected it to be more
expected it's like the show was so over the top and it was always one-upping itself. I thought it would one-up itself and then two-up itself and three-up itself and at the end 100-up itself, but it didn't. It just brought it up to the highest level and then maintained it for the last 2 to 3 episodes. And I'm like, so the ending was sort of like, yep, that's the ending. All right. As opposed to like, yeah.
But I guess what I expected say 3 episodes before the end was something more like Big O, because the show had a lot of these sort of metaphorical elements that I expected the ending to be something more along the lines of Junketsu and Satsuki talking to each other and there being some sort of understanding between like some sort of dialogue with the life fibers, and then that would have been the end. And it was actually kind of refreshing that didn't work and the real end was just fucking kill them all. They were the bad guy, the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, the show, as much as it borrowed from things that we like, such as Ava and Utena and whatnot,
it went its own way.
Well, but it borrowed mostly from like Messenger and that sort of, going a guy type of thing more than the other things it borrowed from, right? So, of course, it ends with kill all the bad guys, exploding and fighting, right? As opposed to an Ava ending or an Utena ending.
Yep. But at the same time, the kill everything ending has extra ramifications for this kind of story because all the characters we know and love, except for Ryuko, are just normal people now.
No, they're still crazy people.
Oh, they're crazy people, but they no longer have superpowers.
I guess someone could still, well, I mean... yeah, it's like, are there still any Goku uniforms anywhere?
Yeah, they said that they would all basically, not have power sources anymore and would die.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Yuko, I guess, because she's made of them, and I guess she's just going to be a god in this world now because she might literally be the most powerful being in the entire Earth at the end of this show.
Yeah, but like if all life fibers lose power, but they're still in her heart, is she dead? Or she didn't? She's obviously not dead, right? But it's like...
well, because she's a perfect synthesis of life fibers and man.
Yeah. I mean, if you really care about, checking the girth of Gandalf in this show, you're not going to get too far.
Though the show gives you enough to debate it at length if you wish.
Yeah, go for it. Have fun.
Look, everyone has a time in their life.
That's not the most important part of this.
No,
it's
I'm
far
just saying,
from it, so no one cares.
Scott, there was a time when even you and I and other people would sit up late at night debating about the literal details of what happened in Evangelion.
But we know the answer to that.
Yes.
It's not a thing to debate.
And when we were younger, it was a thing to debate.
We were also younger.
And this is what I'm getting at. There's a time in every young...
Fine, all you 20-year-olds can go and debate.
There's a time in every young person's life where they're going to watch a show like this, and they're going to spend months debating with each other about the finer points of, well, what's the scissor used for now? Could they synthesize life fibers from Ryuko? Could that be the future of humanity? Could Junketsu have been reasoned with?
Why does everyone wear normal clothes? Everyone should just be naked now, because, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did Nudist Beach fail because not everyone's just naked all the time?
But much like Ava, the literal plot was awesome, but was not the whole story, not the important part. The important part was this is a story about a lot of really interesting characters who did a lot of really interesting and sometimes surprising things.
Yeah, it's not, a lot of shows, they have like one core message and then like some supporting messages. This show was more like 3 or 4 equally emphasized messages all side by side, right?
Yep.
The message about clothing, the message about, having crazy friends. Right?
The message is about if you have a goal, how much are you willing to sacrifice for that goal?
Right. The message, obvious comparisons to society, right? My favorite episode, the one where they get all fancy and crazy rich by participating in the fights and then come falling right back down because it's horrible being rich.
That one being the most ham-fisted.
Yeah, but I like that episode. It's still my favorite episode.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I enjoy a big old fist ham. The somewhat more disturbing elements about that this is a story about basically someone who was abused and raped by her mother repeatedly and put up with it in order to then murder her mother.
Right. Well, a lot of whole talk about family in general.
We'll get into that
right?
bit.
It's like, no, these crazy people are my real family. Fuck you.
It had morals about not using violence, and it had equally strong morals about sometimes violence is the only way.
Don't lose it.
Yes, don't lose your violent ways.
It makes for the best entertainment. Fake violence.
I pretty much pegged that Satsuki was going to betray her mom and try to murder her
A million
very
episodes
early
early.
on.
Yeah, I mean, but really, that's, like I was saying before, how the ending was sort of like, sort of plateau. That was the turn, like when they actually teamed up, like that was basically the beginning of the end, and it plateaued from there.
Yep.
Right?
However, that
It's
moment...
like that was like the last crazy climactic thing to happen.
Well,
was,
when they all
we have
fully-
teamed up now, we will now end the show for you.
When they fully teamed up,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get that shot with Zenny, and he goes all like Gundam dramatic as the ship sails off.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
Yeah, money guy.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that guy.
crazy distant side characters coming back and mattering.
Well, because he
again.
got the watercolor flash at the end. I love that watercolor flash. That is the moment in old shows where you go, "Ah, shit, son." I also like that picture someone made of him, and then it's like on a laptop covered in pieces of paper that say Bitcoin. That just makes me giggle.
That guy would definitely have all the bitcoins in the real world.
But I really like the characters, and it's
It's
why
a show that's it's mostly about characters.
it is. But the plot was straightforward, sensical, complex enough to be interesting. But you're right, it did kind of plateau because after that moment, the final fight was literally just a series of escalations that ended in a conversation and a suicide.
Yep. It's just like, all right, we've teamed up now. We will now fight everything we have to fight until it's over. It was almost video game-ish, and like, beating the mini bosses, beating the final boss, beating the second form of the final boss, right?
Yep,
You know?
Mako coming back.
And it's like the plot didn't really twist or turn or evolve after that, moment. It was pretty much just, all right, we have now resolved, and now we will fight to the finish.
The
We
show
win,
did a
game
couple
over.
of those false pull at the heartstrings that a couple other shows have done that kind of annoyed me. Like, Gamagori's dead, or no, he's not.
No.
he's not. We just did that to fuck with
I was
you.
actually disappointed that none, they didn't really murder a whole bunch of good characters.
I kind of expected one more character who I liked to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done. I was even expecting them to do something funny, like maybe Guts gets killed and they have a little doggy funeral.
That would have been really sad.
just something like that.
I was actually kind of surprised by the manner of Senketsu death. By that point, I assumed he made it.
Well, I mean, I sort of assumed in advance that, like, if they're going to kill all the life fibers, like Senketsu, Junketsu, right? Those were, anything that was involving life fibers, right? Including Ryuko, I figured was toast, right?
They might have been able to make it. Senketsu might have made it if they just headed back a little earlier.
Yeah, I assumed, when they were fighting the giant, the one original life fiber, I'm like, well, I guess the only things that will die at the end of this show for sure are things that have life fibers in them. So all the uniforms and all the people who are half life fiber and all the just life fiber monsters are all dead because good guys are gonna win. They weren't gonna make bad guys win.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that would have been an interesting ending.
That was 99% correct.
Though I kind of, did you notice how all the shots of the outside, basically other than the area around this school, everyone's just totally normal lives. Like only that area was post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's very like they would always show the map. Like life fibers have taken over the whole world. They've covered the whole world. But
then
really,
it's like some dude in
only
Paris
these,
like, what's that up there in the sky? I was having coffee.
Yeah, only these tiny area of Japan did anything actually matter in the whole world, right? But it affected
that's
the
Sailor
whole
Moon
world.
syndrome. Aliens from space always land in Tokyo near this particular school.
Yeah, this particular public school with like a few hundred students is where all the Earth-dominating space aliens will come to fight. They just know where the good guys are. Well, I mean, Mazinger Z, all the bad robots always come near where he launches from, right?
Yeah, that is true.
It's not like, the only thing that handles this properly...
Ava?
No, well, Ava kind of.
Ava handles it very well. It lampshades it directly with, they're actually trying to get into your bullshit.
That's true, but I'm saying in terms of alien invaders are actually going everywhere on Earth, and you have to stop them everywhere on Earth, there's only one thing I can think of that does...
XCOM?
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, you know what the moral of XCOM was? The original XCOM?
Earth
yeah.
is big.
Yeah, the secondary moral was poor countries don't get defense.
That's right.
I had a base in Europe and I had a base in the US and fuck everybody else.
And if I get a third base, maybe
Japan.
China or Japan.
Yeah.
That's done.
I don't think I ever put a
Africa
base in Africa.
Nope.
I hid one in Antarctica once just so I could launch interceptors from up there.
Well, the old ones are down there. You got to watch out. Those are, seriously.
True.
You can't just let them set a base down there.
The show also had enough false notes, as in there were themes that didn't end up going anywhere, or they lead you in a direction like a red herring, but then that wasn't the plot, to where you couldn't predict the full details of the show like you could, say, a Gundam Seed.
Right. It's like, oh, this nudist beach, what's up with them? Oh, what's up with them? And then you finally, and it takes like 3 or 4 things before you learn the full truth of nudist beach.
Like, I had a gist that Satsuki was gonna turn on her mom.
Obviously.
I wasn't sure that everyone else around her knew that was the plan.
Yeah, and it's like you didn't know the whole truth of it. Like, oh, the whole school was just to strengthen everyone up to fight the mom.
But specifically to strengthen them to be able to resist the control of life fibers so that they could then use them, Lena Inverse style, casting the spells of the ancient evil gods.
Yep.
Like, those details.
It's like you knew, it's like anyone, you could pretty easily predict and see where the show was going generally, but the details like that were, not.
Like, I was obsessed the whole show with the fact that it was Senketsu life fiber synchronize, Junketsu life fiber override. And they did set it up that Matoi would talk to Senketsu. They had a thing going. Satsuki would just dominate Junketsu, and occasionally that didn't work out so well.
Yep.
That's why I was so sure that was going to be a thing, and it ended up being a thing, but it was not the thing I thought it would be.
And it was a thing that only mattered like a little bit for a while, and then that plot was sort of wrapped up and done.
But I love when they show it like restrained Ava style in that case, and they're messing with it, and how they basically couldn't control it, and they just put like Matoi's blood in there.
Yeah, I was for sure, like, the first thing they give you in the show is, it's like, don't go too crazy, we'll just drink all your blood and you'll be dead, right? And that was emphasized early on, and it comes up a little bit later on, and I was so sure right from episode 1, or I'm like, well, towards the end of the show, at some point, if not at the end, someone's just gonna die from having all their blood sucked out by their life fiber uniform. And it didn't happen, really.
See, I made a much more specific prediction. I thought that someone was going to die, and their blood was going to fuel someone else's uniform to strike the final blow.
Right.
I thought either Ryuko or Satsuki was going to die, and their blood was going to save the other one.
Maybe.
That's a very specific prediction that...
Or at the very least, somebody's like, uniform would like untransform because they were out of blood, and then they get killed, right? By fighting.
Though also, the fact that I did not expect Ryuko to be life fibers.
Yeah, no.
But then in retrospect, looking at the show again, yeah, she survived a lot of things that clearly killed other people.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was a badass, right? From the at the
but
very
then look at
beginning,
that
she
show,
shows up and she's fighting without any special, no uniform or anything, and it's just like, oh, she's just a really badass fighter.
Yep.
Because and they didn't explain to you how she got that way.
But then they would show you like
At least
other
not at the-
people who were kind of badasses die.
Yeah.
Like, what's his name who stole the uniform? They just fucking killed
he
him.
wasn't a badass. He was some high school punk.
Yeah, but he was still moderately badass because he could wear the
He was
Goku uniform.
with a 1 star.
Yeah.
Sure. Ooh. Everyone at the school was wearing 1 stars, pretty much.
Nah, the vast majority of them were no stars.
The no stars didn't really make it.
How many people died in the no late day? That's my question. That's what I want to find out.
Yeah, it's a good question. How many people died in the Osaka battle?
Oh my god.
That's probably got the highest kill count at all.
But this show was that is my main point, that this show did enough interesting things in a complex enough manner to where you couldn't just watch the opener and predict every beat of the show along to the end. You could only predict, but yet everything was self-consistent. Going back and watching it again, all those things make perfect sense. Nothing comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's nothing in the show where you're like, oh, giant gaping plot hole. This show's garbage, poorly written, right?
Yep.
And it's just, this show just had all these aspects that make it really fun to watch. It pumps you the fuck up.
Yep. The leitmotifs of the characters, that Don't Lose Your Way song.
Right.
That is like the music in the first level of Doom 1. That's like the music in Tribes 2.
There's a lot of bad animations, but also good animations. And
Which
I'm sure
they've corrected
the bad ones are getting fixed. So if you watch it now, it's probably really good.
Though it's telling, it takes repeated watchings usually to notice the really bad animation
They
mistakes.
rushed it out for TV South Park style, and then they fixed it later.
Yep.
So there's plenty of good animations, plenty of references to the old animes to excite the nerds when they see them.
So many references.
All the references.
Like some of them were so like there was a point in one of the episodes where those various people are sewing uniforms.
Yep.
And it was I want to go find the exact episode of Sailor Moon that this was ripping off, like to the point that I think the background was the same.
Right? It's got comedies. It's got,
And the comedy, you know what, was funny, which is not super common in a lot of anime. Like a lot of anime are funny, but I don't laugh out loud. But I actually laughed out loud unexpectedly a couple of times in this show.
Yeah, it's got pretty much everything. It's got some highbrow, it's got some lowbrow, it's got some action scenes, it's got some romance scenes, it's got animes for everything. Every aspect of anime is in this show.
What is not in this show?
It does not actual porn. It gets close.
Yep. So there's no actual porn, and even then, to be significantly titillated by this show, you've got to be the kind of person.
Yeah, it's like people are getting naked left and right, and they're doing sexy things left and right. But if it actually turns you on to watch the show, that's weird, dude.
Well, other than what about the little romance scenes, like for Mako's, like, oh, I like her.
Sure,
oh,
but
no.
you getting actually turned on by that for reals? Like, oh, baby.
Well, turned on it's not a switch. It's not binary. It's not like you were either 100% turned on
I'm saying,
or not.
You're not fapping to that, right?
Someone is.
Ugh, that's a bad dude.
You know what? Someone's fapping
And
everything.
you know what? It's a dude. I'm not even going to lie.
I don't know. This show does have elements of sexual tension that I could see driving a certain kind of person in
Sure.
a certain way.
Sure, but I don't think
But no,
they're fapping to the show directly.
Like we said in one of our panels at Anime Boston, you can tell a lot about your friend by how they recommend Kill La Kill to you. If they talk about the fact that it involves nakedness, they're probably a bad person.
Yeah, you can.
If they talk about how over the top and awesome it is, and they mention Go Nagai, they're probably an awesome person.
You should still watch it anyway, right? Just watch it for the right reasons. And,
Don't lose your way.
I mean, why would you not watch this? What else are you possibly watching?
The thing, this show is going to be important for anime. I honestly believe that.
This will not be a show that, like I can already feel Attack on Titan sort of disappearing. Because,
because Attack on Titan is just Full Metal Alchemist 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I think when they make more anime of Attack on Titan, if they do, they probably will, right? Then it'll rise again.
Oh, it'll explode.
Much like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood made it rise again.
Yeah, but then it'll fall again.
Kill la Kill, there's not going to be any more Kill la Kill ever. But, isn't there going to be like one OAV or something?
Supposedly there's going to be an OAV.
There's not going to be any significant Kill la Kill ever again, right? But
Which is because they could very easily make a sequel.
Sure, if they wanted to. I don't know what it'd be about, but they could.
Yeah, just like Cowboy Bebop. I mean,
more shows, same characters.
Cowgirl Ed 9. I would watch if they had 100 more episodes of just these characters. I would probably watch it, but at the same time, I don't want them to
Kill
do
la
that.
Kill Fumafu. Right? But this show, I don't think it still hasn't been a long time, so I don't know for sure. But I would bet it will not disappear completely. Many moons from now, it will still be mentioned and remembered and talked about. And
exactly.
And
remember,
I don't know if it'll be on the, necessarily the A level with the Evangelion changing all anime history, but it'll be, a step or two under that.
It's very rare that I'll say something like that about an anime within the first decade of it having been in existence.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And yeah, if you're mad right now about us talking about your precious Attack on Titan, seriously, I like Attack on Titan a lot. It's Full Metal Alchemist. Its time will pass. In fact, its time is actually passing pretty rapidly unless they get an OAV or something out stat. Though the cosplay is rising, I saw way more Kill la Kill busted onto the cosplay scene in a huge way. For obvious reasons. I mean, it's a show about clothes.
It's a show about clothes. It was made for cosplay.
I mean, the second opener just has all those, all their costumes cycling.
And then whenever they introduce a new costume, they change the opener to add that new costume to the rotation.
Yep. Actually, too, look at the second opener. Thinking back on it, it does the Gundam Seed thing. It tells you what's going to happen. You notice how you see Matoi and her people on one ramp, one lane, and then on the other lane of that fashion stage, you see Satsuki and her people. They both have their group of crazy people. They get to the same goal through different means, looking at each other the whole time, walking along the way.
And then cut each other up with swords
Well, fight with each other,
and
but
spray
then
blood all over the place.
But then, after they fight, it does the same thing in Gundam. Remember in Gundam Seed, there was a point where two characters slide in from the side with guns pointed at each other, and then when the opener updates mid-season, they slide in from the side, they keep going, same poses, now they're back to back, and that's the episode where they join up. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.